Hey guys, I'm Jared, and today we're talking about what's new in board gaming as of September 9th, 2022. I'll be covering the latest news, announcements, most played games, hot new Kickstarters and crowdfunded games, and more related to board gaming for the past 2 weeks. At the end, I'll also be sharing what's going on behind the scenes with my YouTube channel, Meeple Mentor. So stick around, we've got a lot to cover. Leave me a like and comment on what kinds of updates that you want to hear more about. To make sure you don't miss my news updates, new video tutorials, and our podcast episodes, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and your preferred streaming platform. Let's start off the week with some crowdfunding. First on GameFound is Philosophy, a relaxing abstract strategy game about two friends having a thoughtful conversation. The object of this tile placement game is to reach a conclusion by connecting 3 of your ideas in a row. This game is for 2 players ages 10 and up and plays for 5 to 30 minutes. You can back it until September 26th. A new anti-pickup style survival strategy card game for 3 to 8 players is on GameFound as well until September 29th. The aim in this competitive 40-minute game is to be the last surviving player. The cards which help you navigate the deck do not only help you avoid danger, but can strategically place your opponents into danger. It's for ages 13 and up. 18 Namibia is based on 1895 Namibia, which was designed for 3 players only. In order to expand the game for 4 players, a 6th railway corporation and 2 mining corporations introduced in 18 Namibia have added to it. In addition, some minor changes made to the map as well as to the tile mix in order to create more options for track building. Despite these changes, the character of the game remained unchanged. 18 Namibia also comes with a variant for 2 players. It's for ages 14 and up and plays for 180 minutes. You can back it on GameFound until September 18th. The new Green Planet series by Queen Games will include games that imagine a bright future for the planet and the human race. The first game in the series is Powerline by acclaimed designer Dirk Hinn. Powerline is a simultaneous dice selection game that combines an easy-to-learn rule set, fast playtime, and difficult decisions. It's for 1 to 6 players ages 8 and up and plays for 45 minutes. You can back it on GameFound until September 13th. Keyforge Winds of Exchange introduces a new house, the Mercantile Compacts of Equidon, new token creature mechanics, and features the return of several older houses as well, including long-missed favorites Brobnar and Mars. In addition to Winds of Exchange, this GameFound campaign will feature a new 2-player starter set. There's never been a better time to get started with Keyforge. It's for 2 players ages 12 and up and has a playtime of 45 minutes. Find it on GameFound starting today. Space Explorers Age of Ambition and Prehistory's Evolutions expansions is a time travel 2-pack with 2 new expansions for 2 fantastic games. Step back in time to the prehistoric era with Prehistory's Evolutions and the mid-20th century space race with Space Explorers Age of Ambition. Both expansions offer new modular gameplay additions to customize and expand your experiences. This bundle that includes tile placement and betting is for 1 to 5 players across both games, and it's on GameFound until September 22nd. That's all for GameFound, but if you're ready for a family-weight engine-building game, Dwarves 7's Legendary Forest has hit Kickstarter. Play as dwarves, expanding your empire, training dragons, and fighting monsters. This worker placement game is for 2 to 4 players ages 13 and up and plays in 25 minutes per player. Enlist mighty heroes and fight monsters while hatching and growing your dragons into formidable champions. Again, it's on Kickstarter until September 25th. 1 to 6 Guardians try to save as many of their entrusted islanders as possible from a rapidly approaching perilous fog. The relaunch of The Fog: Escape from Paradise is a competitive, thrilling, and challenging game where villagers of a lonely island have to reach their boats at the beach to escape the urgently approaching, mysterious, and life-threatening fog. This game is for 1 to 6 players ages 10 and up and has a playtime of 45 to 120 minutes. You can back it on Kickstarter until September 22nd. A puzzly solo card game of meat, murder, and weight gain is also on Kickstarter, funding until September 29th. Weavelings in the Wilds. In this card game, set traps to capture unwitting beasties, then use their precious meat to lure weavelings back into the fold. This game is for ages 13 and up and plays in 20 minutes. Lying Pirates, The Race for the Pirate Throne, is a first-to-finish dice game for 2 to 6 players. A thrilling race for the pirate throne which lasts 10 to 15 minutes per player. This game's mechanics are inspired by the classic game of Liar's Dice. With tiles, action cards, special dice, and more, it puts a new spin on one of the most famous games in the world. With over 1 million possible map combinations and fast gameplay, it provides plenty of unique experiences for players. You can back it on Kickstarter until September 30th. A story-rich, quick-start adventure board game for 1 to 4 players from the makers of Descent, The Witcher 3, and Arcane League of Legends is on Kickstarter. Kinfire Chronicles Night's Fall provides 20+ hours of epic gameplay with quick setup and manageable session playtimes. These can range from 45 to 60 minutes. Select a quest, choose your adventure, combat enemies together, and explore the town in this game for ages 14 and up. It's funding until September 21st. Almost Innocent is a cooperative deduction game with a progressive story where you must work together across different scenarios to prove your innocence. This game builds on to the world of Oshra, continuing the lore first introduced in Hidden Leaders. It employs gridded logic puzzles where one square has the potential to unlock a sequence of interconnected revelations. It's for 2 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, and plays in 30 minutes. You can find it on Kickstarter until September 20th. Find a beautifully illustrated Eurogame of hunting, gathering, and cooking in Uluk. As a tribe leader, players will seek to ensure the happiness and well-being of their folk. In this worker placement game, the players send their tribe members, called here tribers, to spaces on the board to build monuments, gather raw resources, and process them into food, or sometimes into poison, for that matter. Uluk is for 1 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, and plays in 60 minutes. Back it on Kickstarter until September 17th. Glorious Wrestling Alliance Ultra Brawl is a fast and frantic pro wrestling card game based on the comics of the same name. This card game pits larger-than-life competitors against each other in choreographed in-ring combat. It's for 2 to 9 players and has a playtime of 15 to 30 minutes. It's on Kickstarter until September 27th. In the mood for a fun stacking game? Stack the Burger is a simple drafting game where players pull tokens from the bag to use on their burgers. Get as many tokens as possible without busting. Plan your burgers and manage your ingredients. This game is for 3 to 5 players, ages 12 and up, and plays in 25 minutes. You can back it on Kickstarter until October 1st. Waking Shards is a 2 to 4 player game that you can carry in your pocket and play anywhere. The game is easy to learn, but still deep in terms of strategy and combos. Build an army of guardians and find the shards to combine their powers and outsmart your opponents. It plays in 25 minutes and it's funding on Kickstarter until September 22nd. Full Sun is a trick-taking game for 3 to 5 players where the tallest tree gets all the sunlight. But be careful, everyone can see what suits you have. Each suit wants to win a different number of tricks. Try to match the number of tricks you win with your final card. Full Sun is funding on Kickstarter until September 17th. A Family Plot 2 reprint has hit Kickstarter. Each player strives to build their perfect family while keeping other players from killing them off one by one. Complete your unique family tree to win. Family Plot 2 has 15 all-new family tree cards. Back it on Kickstarter until September 10th. Based off the age-old Midwest art of BSing at the neighborhood yard sale is on Kickstarter until October 1st. Card Sale. Players can either make their product more appealing with feature cards or use those same cards to sabotage the competition. It's for 4 to 8 players ages 13 and up and has a playtime of 30 minutes. A Race for the Title is the deck-building football soccer card game for 1 to 4 players. Play solo or take on your friends to see who will win the league. In this deck building game, buy economy cards to grow the financial state of your club and buy players to boost your team's quality. It's for ages 8 and up and plays in 40 minutes. It's on Kickstarter until October 4th. In Bendy Faces, players must match faces portrayed on the cards to some of the internet's funniest memes. The player who creates the funniest combination wins the game. It's a party game for at least 4 players, ages 13 and up, and plays in 30 to 90 minutes. It's on Kickstarter until September 19th. Build the canals, repel the barbarians, and rise to fame in this solo-only campaign game set in ancient China. Legacy of You is on Kickstarter until September 15th. Worker placement, deck management, resource management, and action chaining make for an exciting and dynamic experience for solo players ages 12 and up. It provides a playtime of 1 hour. Discover old world technology and form a great community in a collapsed world. Atlas Lost: Rise of the New Sovereigns has players rebuilding civilizations with modular mechanics and unique card abilities. It's for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, and plays in 40 to 90 minutes. You can back it on Kickstarter until October 5th. The Fox Experiment is the latest board game from Elizabeth Hargrave, creator of Wingspan, which has players breeding fox pups to pass on desired traits to the next generation. Use dice to create trait symbols to mark off on your pup card, then gain tokens based on what is marked off. The goal is to be the player with the most points. Find it on Kickstarter until October 1st. Build up a unique world to make your nation thrive in the latest game from Christoph Bollinger, creator of Archipelago. Rise and Fall is a game involving strategic units positioning, territory control, and opportunity seizing. 2 to 4 players can enjoy 20-minute playtimes, learning to play as they go. It can be backed on Kickstarter until October 13th. Also on Kickstarter until November 5th is Proxy War, the indie strategy board game of modern wars, a 2 to 8 player strategy board game where players become dictators, rebels, and greedy foreign powers. This 2 to 3 hour game for 2 to 8 players employs a dynamic resource management and trade system, simultaneous action decision, and dice modified battles. It's for ages 12 and up. Become a legend on Savage World and Forsaken, a sandbox adventure game with limitless possibilities. Play is contained to a single session. Your decisions will have a rippling impact and change the game, but it is fully reset when the game is over. It's for 1 to 4 players ages 13 and up and has a playtime of 45 to 60 minutes per player. It's on Kickstarter until September 29th. Manipulate the rise and fall of mortals and shape a new world in Dawn of Ulos, a role-player tale, a tile-laying game for 1 to 5 players. Shape a new world, invest in your favorite factions, and pit armies against each other. The game is for 1 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, and plays in 60 to 90 minutes. It's funding on Kickstarter until September 27th. Welcome Back Ashore. Mastercraft is a big box expansion for the critically acclaimed Merchant's Cove. Merchant's Cove is a highly asymmetrical Eurogame. Using a unique set of role-specific components and gameplay mechanics, each player will compete as a merchant to satisfy the demands of adventurers. It's for 1 to 5 players ages 14 and up, and has a playtime of 60 to 90 minutes. You can back it on Kickstarter until September 28th. No moral compass? No problem. Send your way to victory in the card dice game where it's good to be bad. May the worst player win. 7 Deadly Dice is a 2 to 6 player game for the worst of us. Collect dice and complete hidden sinful objectives in order to be crowned the most awful. With a rapid playstyle and sneaky player versus player mechanics, this game is for ages 10 and up and has a playtime of 20 to 45 minutes. It's on Kickstarter until October 7th. You are a hero of legendary capabilities. Tumble, dash, and jump your way through an ever-changing world in Quad Heroes 2nd Edition. It's truly a sandbox game system. Quads have to tumble to move around the board, and this activates one of 5 different upgradable movement skills. The 2nd edition contains 10 brand new scenarios. It's for 2 to 6 players ages 8 and up and plays for 20 minutes per player. Find it on Kickstarter until September 30th. A relaunch for Magical Friends and How to Summon Them is on Kickstarter until September 30th. It's an easy-to-learn but tricky-to-win strategy game for 2 to 5 players. Each round, players summon magical creatures, put a gingerbread heart around their necks, and send them to a gala to pretend to be your friend in hopes of winning a popularity contest. The game is for ages 12 and up and plays in 1 to 2 hours. Back with a bang, Rivet Wars Reloaded is a fast-paced tactical miniatures board game for 1 to 4 players where history meets diesel punk fantasy. With almost zero setup, quickfire combat, and customizable units, the game provides 30 to 60 minutes of play. It's on Kickstarter until September 16th. Lastly, Ilric: Rise of the Young Kingdoms is the official board game based on the novels by Michael Moorcock. Each player chooses an emblematic nation of the Young Kingdoms and strategically deploys raiders and heroes on a board representing Ymnir. It's for 2 to 5 players, 12 and up, and provides a playtime of 60 minutes. You can fund it on Kickstarter until September 30th. First in industry news, the spin-off title to the Boss Monster series Overboss will be getting its own video game adaptation. A trailer for the upcoming video game adaptation of Overboss, a Boss Monster adventure, is recently released, revealing that the digital board game would enable players to build their own overworlds digitally as well as on the tabletop. Eagle Gryphon Games announced the hiring of Ken Hill and Scott Tepper. Hill is an industry veteran of over 15 years that comes to EGG from Rio Grande Games. Tepper is also a veteran in the board game industry, coming to EGG with over 30 years of customer service and operations experience in manufacturing and distribution. Asmodee will be adding another studio to its roster. Office Dog, led by Luke Peterschmidt, is a studio that will specialize in producing games that are based on intellectual properties owned by Asmodee and its parent company, Embracer Group. Where Office Dog differs from other imprints under Asmodee is that it will not have any internal designers, but work with both established and new game designers. eBay has announced the intent to purchase the trading card game company TCG Player for $295 million. TCG Player is a trusted marketplace for Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and many other collectible card games. eBay's purchase of TCG Player is expected to be completed in early 2023. A video game version of the dungeon delving game Munchkin is coming from the studio behind Root Digital, Direwolf. Munchkin Digital is set to adapt the fantasy board game about hunting monsters and exploring dungeons into a video game. The upcoming video game will see players venturing into a dungeon in search of enemies to fight in order to gain new levels. Munchkin Digital is set to be released on both PC and mobile devices sometime this autumn. There are some exciting things going on in the game announcements, the first of which is that Steamforged Games teased Tomb of Giants and Painted World of Ariamis, 2 new Dark Souls the board game sets, which will be coming to stores in November 2022. Tomb of Giants and Painted World of Ariamis are 2 standalone core sets that feature a refreshed rule set. The new updated rule set includes a new event system, objective card deck, and streamlined campaign rules. A tabletop board game that allows players to assume the roles of admirals in charge of Kushan or Taladan fleets to fight our epic galactic battles has been announced by Modiphius Entertainment. Homeworld Fleet Command, a new tabletop miniatures game, is expected to pre-order via a crowdfunding campaign later this year. Mosaic: A Story of Civilization, a new civilization building game, is currently on pre-order. From Forbidden Games, it is an action selection game where players perform one of 7 actions on their turn and acquire components. The components are used to acquire new technologies as well as scoring. This game is for 2 to 6 players, ages 12 and up, and plays in 90 to 120 minutes. Asmodee will release Tokaido Deluxe Edition, a premium version of the classic board game, into US retail on September 16th. The deluxe edition of this game comes with a bigger box to hold a giant-sized game board, as well as all the cards for Tokaido and Crossroads. The 15th expansion of Dominion sends players out onto the seas to attack merchant ships and take their treasures. This expansion is loaded down with treasures and durations, as well as cards that give loot. Rio Grande Games will release Dominion Plunder, a new expansion for the classic deck-building game, into retail soon. The game is not a standalone and requires the core game to play. It can be combined with any of the other Dominion expansions. In Weird Little Elf, a terrible imp has invaded Santa's workshop to sabotage the toys, and the elves need to figure out who is the imp and who is a loyal elf. Atlas Games will release Weird Little Elf, a new seasonal family game, into retail this year. The game is for 4 to 15 players ages 8 and up and plays in 15 minutes. Ravensburger announced Disney Lorcana, a new collectible trading card game which will release into retail in fall 2023. It takes place in the magical world of Lorcana and is designed for players of all levels of card gaming experience. The initial card set will be entitled Disney Lorcana: The First Chapter and will be released internationally. Trick or Treat Studios will release Halloween Party, a new card game, into retail in 2022. In this game, players need to determine whether the person coming to their party is going to make their party a blast or kill the mood. The goal of the game is for players to get the most monsters to attend their party. This game is for 3 to 5 players ages 8 and up and plays in 15 to 30 minutes. Red Raven Games will release Nightfall, an asymmetrical team board game, into retail on September 21st. In this game, players take control of either knights or demons, vying for control over a sealed portal to the underworld in Thornmar Abbey. The location tiles included in this game allow players to create a different monastery layout for every game, thus increasing replayability. This game can also be played as a campaign mode or for 1 or 2 players. This game can also be played as a campaign for 1 or 2 players. It is for 1 to 6 players ages 13 and up and plays in 45 to 60 minutes. The Birthday Burglary and the Groundhog Gambit are both listed as 2022 releases, and they continue in the line of 18-card micro escape room games. The Birthday Burglary has you getting ready for your birthday, but the guests haven't arrived yet, so you must figure out what is going on. The Groundhog Gambit puts you in the shoes or furry feet of Punxsutawney Phil, trapped in a professor's mansion with the risk of the professor using you for experiments. You must escape the mansion and the ensuing time loop that accompanies all Groundhog Days. Both games are listed for 1 to 4 players, 60 minutes, and ages 13 and up. They're both listed as 2022 releases. Flowerland Spiel, Capstone Games, and designer Matthias Wig have announced more details on the upcoming Aquarius expansion for Ark Nova. Introducing water-based animals, Aquarius will include special enclosures that must be built next to water areas on your zoo board. To complement these new enclosures, a good portion of the new water-based animals will be tagged as reef dwellers. There's not been any mention of when the Aquarius expansion will be released other than a vague 2023. Chili Fox Games is publishing Come Together, a worker placement game where 1 to 6 players compete to host the best music festival. You will build up your festival site by adding campsites to lodge fans and stages for music acts to perform. The fans are represented by meeples of different colors, connotating the type of music they want to see. It is scheduled to release in October. Publisher 2F Spiel and designer Friedemann Fries have announced a new green double fricative card game, Fancy Feathers. This is a card collection game where you are moving along a path of pheasant cards. Whoever is behind in the path moves ahead to any card, and you receive all the cards behind the card you left. Fancy Feathers should be available at Essen 2022. It plays 2 players, but it can be played up to 6 if you have multiple copies of the game. It plays in 15 to 30 minutes and is for ages 8 and up. German publisher Freck Verlag is slated to release the roll and write game Kunterpunkt, das Wusselig Rollenspiel. Work to collect the rarest of bugs and prove your theories. It plays 1 to 6 players, 30 to 40 minutes, and ages 9 and up. In Rise, players seek to develop a city on both an economic and social level, all while nurturing the well-being of the citizens. Capstone Games announced Rise, a new economic city-building board game, for release into retail November 8th. Rise is for 2 to 4 players and plays in 60 to 90 minutes. The Wizarding World comes to Similio, a deduction game where players try to guess a secret character. Horrible Guild revealed Similio, fantastic beasts, and where to find them, which will hit stores in fall. Z-Man Games revealed Challengers, a new dueling deck management game by One More Time Games and White Castle Games Agency, for release into retail in November. In Challengers, players can draft over 70 character cards and build up their decks to do battle with other players in duels. This game is for 1 to 8 players, ages 8 and up, and plays in 45 minutes. Zombicide Gear Up offers players a more casual way to destroy zombie hordes using a flip and right game mechanic and is now on pre-order from CMON. In Zombicide Gear Up, players work together to survive the zombie apocalypse, fighting their way through waves of undead while they try to upgrade their weapons so they can successfully face off against the boss when it appears. It is intended for 1 to 6 players ages 14 and up and plays in around half an hour. Rio Grande Games revealed Pictures Christmas, a new holiday-themed expansion for release into retail in fall or winter this year. This expansion adds a bit of Christmas cheers to the 2020 Spiel des Jahres winning Hidden Picture game. It adds 2 new materials to reconstruct photos with. The expansion also comes with 110 new holiday-themed photo cards to play with. It supports 3 to 6 players and plays in 30 minutes. In Orichalcum, Atlantis is doomed and players have been sent out to clear an island of monstrous creatures in preparation for their civilization's exodus. Pandasaurus Games will release Orichalcum, a new race board game, into retail Q4. The game is for 2 to 4 players ages 12 and up and plays in 45 to 60 minutes. The first legacy board game in the Sagrada series will have players crafting their stained glass windows across multiple generations. Sagrada Artisans is a legacy game where players take on the role of rival glass-making families vying for renown and recognition for their work. Matt Leacock, designer of Pandemic, along with Matteo Menapate, are co-designing Daybreak, a cooperative game about climate action. Each player controls a world power, and together they must contend with emerging crises in pursuit of net zero global emissions. Marvel Villainous We Are Venom is a single-character expansion. Venom's goal is to permanently bond with Spider-Man, and he has several allies from the comics to help him out, including fellow symbiotes. It does need either the Marvel Villainous Infinite Power base game or the Marvel Villainous Mischief and Malice expansion to play. The expansion is set to release onto Amazon in October, with a wider release scheduled for November. Fuse Countdown can be played as either a standalone game or mixed in with the original Fuse as an expansion. New features of the game include multicolored dice that can be used to fulfill either color on the die, players' roles with unique powers, spark cards that are drawn when you cannot place a die and act like mini bombs that must be completed before to win the game, and new bomb cards using all these new features. Fuse Countdown plays 1 to 5 players ages 14 and up and has a playtime of 10 minutes. You can pre-order your copy of Fuse Countdown on the Renegade website, and the game is scheduled to be released in Q4. There isn't a lot of information released about the game Lord of the Rings Together to Mount Doom yet, but we do know that through clever use of dice, players will move the characters around on the board in an attempt to get Frodo to Mount Doom. If that happens, the players win. Lord of the Rings Together to Mount Doom plays 1 to 4 players ages 10 and up and has an estimated playtime of 50 minutes. The game has a tentative German release date of October 2022, although worldwide distribution is still unknown. Publisher Repos Production have announced a Harry Potter retheme of Cash and Guns called Stupefy. In Stupefy, players represent wizards from one of the 4 houses of Hogwarts. Each round, players will select one of their spell cards to cast either a Stupefy or a Misspell. Stupefy plays with 4 to 8 players ages 8 and up with an estimated playtime of 30 minutes. With 5 or more players, you can convert the game from a free-for-all to a team game. Cryptozoic Entertainment will release Rotten Tomatoes the card game into retail in Q4. This new card game is based on the popular website that aggregates movie and TV show reviews. Players begin the game with movie cards they arrange by tomato meter scores. This game is for 2 to 20 players ages 14 and up and plays in 20 minutes. Ares Games will release a reprint of Incognito, the classic deduction game, into stores by the end of the year. This reprint will be of the Ares edition of the game, and it will be available first at Spiel 2022. Lastly, in game announcements, Portal Games will release Basilica 2E, a refreshed version of the classic board game, into US retail on October 20th. It's a game where two rival architects are constructing the same basilica, one working for the queen and the other working for the bishop. This game is for 2 players, ages 10 and up, and plays in 45 minutes. For what's happening on the Meeple Mentor YouTube channel, I published an unboxing video for the new 007 board game called Spectre. In it, players are one of the villains in the organization trying to complete missions and secret plans while avoiding Bond. I also published an unboxing video for the pencil-first game Sunset Over Water. This is the new Pocket Edition, and each fully illustrated card is beautiful to look at. They published previous games like Herbaceous and Floriferous. The most recent tutorial that came out was for Marvel Dice Throne. It's the newest iteration of Dice Throne, using many different heroes to fight it out. It has amazing production value and is quite fun. I'm working on quite a few tutorials right now, including the Clank deck building adventure, Libertalia, and Perseverance Castaway Chronicles. Thanks for tuning in to today's news update. I appreciate your support. And remember, teach when you can, but always be learning. See you next time.